Dear viewers, this video is part 3 in the 4-part series on the organization of the human body in the Medicine for Common Man series. This figure shows the circulation of blood. Oxygenated blood comes to left heart and pumped to tissues. In the tissues, oxygen is used and carbon dioxide diffuses through tissues to blood. The blood reaches back to right heart and pumped to lung where it is oxygenated, and the cycle begins all over again. This figure shows the diffusion of blood from capillaries to interstitial space, and exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place in the cells. The cells also take in nutrients and other substances. Extracellular fluid transport and mixing system. The blood circulatory system. Extracellular fluid is transported through the body in 2 stages. The first stage is movement of blood through the body in the blood vessels. The second is movement of blood fluid between the blood capillaries and the intercellular spaces between the tissue cells. Figure 1.1 shows the overall circulation of blood. All the blood in the circulation traverses the entire circuit an average of once each minute when the body is at rest, and as many as 6 times each minute when a person is extremely active. As blood passes through blood capillaries, continual exchange of extracellular fluid occurs between the plasma portion of the blood and the interstitial fluid that fills the intercellular spaces. This process is shown in figure 1.2. The capillary walls are permeable to most molecules in the blood plasma, with the exception of plasma proteins, which are too large to pass through capillaries readily. Therefore, large amounts of fluid and its dissolved constituents diffuse back and forth between the blood and the tissue spaces, as shown by the arrows in figure 1.2. This process of diffusion is caused by kinetic motion of the molecules in the plasma and the interstitial fluid. That is, the fluid and dissolved molecules are continually moving and bouncing in all directions in the plasma and fluid in the intercellular spaces, as well as through capillary pores. Few cells are located more than 50 micrometers from a capillary, which ensures diffusion of almost any substance from the capillary to the cell within a few seconds. Thus, the extracellular fluid everywhere in the body, both that of the plasma and that of interstitial fluid, is continually being mixed, thereby maintaining homogeneity of extracellular fluid throughout the body. Dear listeners, by the way, this educational video is made possible by PrescribeOn, the makers of e-prescription software for digital prescriptions, available freely for doctors on the website www.prescribeon.com. Doctors who are interested in this e-prescription can freely avail of its vast collection of more than 100,000 e-prescriptions. Origin of nutrients in the extracellular fluid. Respiratory system. Figure 1.1 shows that each time blood passes through the body, it also flows through the lungs. The blood picks up oxygen in alveoli, thus acquiring the oxygen needed by cells. The membrane between the alveoli and the lumen of the pulmonary capillaries, the alveolar membrane, is only 0.4 to 2 micrometers thick, and oxygen rapidly diffuses by molecular motion through this membrane into the blood. Gastrointestinal tract. A large portion of the blood pumped by the heart also passes through the walls of the gastrointestinal tract. Here, different dissolved nutrients, including carbohydrates, fatty acids, and amino acids, are absorbed from ingested food into the extracellular fluid of the blood. Liver and other organs that perform primarily metabolic functions. Not all substances absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract can be used in their absorbed form by the cells. The liver changes the chemical compositions of many of these substances to more usable forms, and other tissues of the body, fat cells, gastrointestinal mucosa, kidneys, and endocrine glands help modify the absorbed substances or store them until they are needed. The liver also eliminates certain waste products produced in the body and toxic substances that are ingested. Figure 1-2 shows the diffusion of fluid and dissolved constituents through the capillary walls and interstitial spaces. Musculoskeletal system. How does the musculoskeletal system contribute to homeostasis? The answer is obvious and simple. Were it not for the muscles, the body could not move to obtain the foods required for nutrition. The musculoskeletal system also provides motility for protection against adverse surroundings, without which the entire body, along with its homeostatic mechanisms, could be destroyed. Removal of metabolic end products. Removal of carbon dioxide by the lungs. At the same time that blood picks up oxygen in the lungs, carbon dioxide is released from the blood into the lung alveoli. The respiratory movement of air into and out of the lungs carries carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is the most abundant of all the metabolism products. Kidneys. Passage of blood through the kidneys removes most of the other substances from the plasma besides carbon dioxide that are not needed by cells. These substances include different end products of cellular metabolism such as urea and uric acid. They also include excesses of ions and water from the food that accumulate in the extracellular fluid. The kidneys perform their function first by filtering large quantities of plasma through the glomerular capillaries into the tubules and then reabsorbing them into the blood substances needed by the body, such as glucose, amino acids, appropriate amounts of water, and many of the ions. Most of the other substances that are not needed by the body, especially metabolic waste products such as urea and creatinine, are reabsorbed poorly and pass through the renal tubules into the urine. Gastrointestinal tract. Undigested material that enters the gastrointestinal tract and some waste products of metabolism are eliminated in the feces. Liver. Among the many functions of the liver is detoxification or removal of ingested drugs and chemicals. The liver secretes many of these wastes into the bile to be eventually eliminated in the feces. Regulation of body functions. Nervous system. The nervous system is composed of three major parts: the sensory input portion, the central nervous system or integrative portion, and the motor output portion. Sensory receptors detect the state of the body and its surroundings. For example, receptors in the skin alert us whenever an object touches the skin. The eyes are sensory organs that give us a visual image of the surrounding area. The ears are also sensory organs. The central nervous system is composed of the brain and spinal cord. The brain stores information, generates thoughts, creates ambition, and determines reactions that the body performs in response to the sensations. Appropriate signals are then transmitted through the motor output portion of the nervous system to carry out one's desires. An important segment of the nervous system is called the autonomic nervous system. It operates at a subconscious level and controls many functions of internal organs, including the level of pumping activity by the heart, movements of the gastrointestinal tract, and secretion of many of the body's glands. Hormone systems. Located in the body are endocrine glands, organs and tissues that secrete chemical substances called hormones. Hormones are transported in the extracellular fluid to other parts of the body to help regulate cellular function. For example, thyroid hormone increases the rates of most chemical reactions in all cells, thus helping set the tempo of bodily activity. Insulin controls glucose metabolism. Adrenocortical hormones control sodium and potassium ions and protein metabolism. And parathyroid hormones controls bone calcium and phosphate. Thus, the hormones provide a regulatory system that complements the nervous system. The nervous system controls many muscular and secretory activities of the body, whereas the hormonal system regulates many metabolic functions. The nervous and hormonal systems normally work together in a coordinated manner to control essentially all the organ systems of the body. Protection of the body. Immune system. The immune system includes white blood cells, tissue cells derived from white blood cells, the thymus, lymph nodes, and lymphocytes that protect the body from pathogens such as bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi. The immune system provides a mechanism for the body to carry out the following: 1. Distinguish its own cells from harmful foreign cells and substances, and 2. Destroy the invader by phagocytosis or by producing sensitized lymphocytes or specialized proteins, example antibodies that destroy or neutralize the invader. Integumentary system. The skin and its various appendages, including the hair, nails, glands, and other structures, cover, cushion, and protect the deeper tissues and organs of the body and generally provide a boundary between the body's internal environment and the outside world. The integumentary system is also important for temperature regulation and excretion of waste, and it provides a sensory interface between the body and the external environment. The skin generally comprises about 12 to 15% of body weight. Reproduction. Although reproduction is sometimes not considered a homeostatic function, it helps maintain homeostasis by generating new beings to take the place of those that are dying. This may sound like a permissive use of the term homeostasis, but it illustrates that in the final analysis, essentially all body structures are organized to help maintain the automaticity and continuity of life. Control systems of the body. The human body has thousands of control systems. Homeostasis is the control of a vital parameter. The body carefully controls a seemingly endless list of vital parameters. Examples of tightly controlled parameters that affect nearly the whole body are arterial pressure and blood volume. At the level of the interior environment, tightly regulated parameters include body core temperature and plasma levels of oxygen, glucose, potassium ions, calcium ions, and hydrogen ions. Homeostasis also occurs at the level of the single cell. Thus, cells regulate many of the same parameters that the body as a whole regulates. Volume, the concentration of many small inorganic ions, example sodium, calcium, and hydrogen, and energy levels, example ATP. Some of the most intricate of these systems are genetic control systems that operate in all cells to help regulate intracellular and extracellular functions. Many other control systems operate within the organs to regulate functions of the individual parts of these organs. Others operate throughout the entire body to control the interrelationships between the organs. For example, the respiratory system, operating in association with the nervous system, regulates the concentration of carbon dioxide in the extracellular fluid. The liver and pancreas control glucose concentration in the extracellular fluid. The kidneys regulate concentrations of hydrogen, sodium, potassium, phosphate, and other ions in the extracellular fluid. So, dear viewers, this is the end of part 3 in the 4-part series on the organization of the human body in the Medicine for Common Man series. Thank you for watching the video.